Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Haunted Basement Studio. I'm your host, Triple B, and in this haunted comic book review, we are doing Altered States Purgatori Grindhouse right here. And on this channel, not only do we love what's inside the book, but we absolutely love the covers, and we would never rip them off this book. And now, you guys want to hear a crazy ass horror story? Well, let's get right into Purgatori Grindhouse. Our story starts out on an isolated beach where four friends are by a bonfire enjoying drinks and smoking, with three females and one male. And one of the females says, "I can't wait for my boyfriend to get here." And through the darkness, a silhouette of a man walks up with someone with them. They look up through the lights of the bonfire and they see it is her boyfriend. And she says, "Who's this here with you?" He says, "Don't worry, babe. It's just a hitchhiker. I picked her up and maybe we can feed on her and eat her." And they say, "Oh, he's just playing. Come and join the party," as she sits down next to the bonfire. And as the boyfriend and girlfriend kiss, the hitchhiker throws some sand in the fire and it goes all up and smoke goes everywhere. And they, "Hey, what'd you throw in the fire?" And she said, "Oh, I just threw some sand." And now, as the smoke fills the air from the bonfire, Jimmy raises up his glass and says, "Let's have a toast. I was going to talk about our young lives, wasting in this dump town, about moving on. Oh, screw it. To the end of some things and to the start of something new." And the girl that was the hitchhiker, she says, "New beginnings," as she has a dagger behind her back. And as the smoke slowly starts to fill the bonfire more and more, they slowly start to cough, and they're coughing a lot. And the one girl named Tori, she says, "Oh my God, I can't breathe." And then all of a sudden, a few men with masks appear behind the bonfire as the group is choking. The hitchhiker puts a mask on him with their dagger, walks up to Tori, says, "Shh. You can't breathe. I know. Don't worry. Soon you won't be a problem." And pushes her down as Tori falls into a portal. And she says, "I'll see you on the other side." And as she looks up, she's in hell. And there's some sort of demon saying, "My chosen, give me my tributes and be transformed." And all of a sudden, they wake up with their hands behind their back and they're in front of the van with some sort of altar with this same demon. And now the four friends are tied up with their hands behind their back. And then you hear the hitchhikers say, "Yes, yes, show him our gifts, give him his tribute." And as Tori looks around, says, "No, no, this cannot be happening." As two men with the bags on their head slowly start to cut and kill the friends and take on. She says, "Oh my God, no." And she gets up and she actually starts to run away. And the hitchhiker says, "No, they all need to be killed at the same time. Go get her and kill her," as she runs off into the night through the sand in the darkness. And through the darkness, she finds a trailer and she runs into it and she says, "Oh my God, Lisa, I can't believe what happened." And she thinks to herself, "I gotta get my hands in front of me because they're tied in a knot." And as she pulls her hands in front of her, she looks down, but then she looks up and she sees a man holding a sword and he's coming at her. And he lures at her with the sword, but she dodges and he misses and hits the stove. And then she kicks him right in the head. And he's like, "Oh my God, you bitch," as he adjusts his bag mask that's on his head. And then he front kicks her right in her stomach. Boom! She grabs a machete, a hatchet, and tries to cut off the rope from her hands. But the masked man grabs her and throws her down. He's holding her down and he starts to choke her and he says, "Nice try. Good night, sweetheart." But Tori sees one last opening with her hand still tied up with the rope, she puts it around his head and then wraps her legs around his throat and starts to pull and puts him in a chokehold. But this frees up the bagger's hand with the sword and stabs her right through her leg, and the blade goes right through her leg as she screams. But with her adrenaline pumping through her veins, she doesn't even feel the pain. She just squeezes harder and harder, and with that bag on the killer's head, he suffocates, and she lets go of him, and his dead body falls and hits the ground. And now Tori looks up and says goodnight, with blood dripping from her leg from the sword inside of it and her hand still tied up. The demon appears and says, "Well done, my chosen. Now give me my tribute." And then all of a sudden, Tori turns all red. And the demon says, "You have been transformed." And now back at the van, the hitchhiker says, "Nothing is happening. You promised I would have been blessed. I did everything the way that you told me to. They're all dead. I'm your chosen. Why am I still the same?" And they look up and they say, "Look, they're not all dead." As Tori steps out of the trailer, and the hitchhiker says, "No way." And I say, "Kill her. Why is she all red? Is that blood?" And then Purgatori looks at them and says, "Maybe I should run." And she turns around and runs away into the darkness. And they're yelling out, "Where is she? Where did she go? We gotta find her. She's not on the path." And as one of the mask-wielding swordsmen goes back to the bonfire, all of a sudden Tori appears with a burning log and smashes him in his face. Bam! He falls on the ground. His mask falls off. He says, "You dumb bitch, I'm gonna smash your head in for that." And he reaches out to grab a rock, but the rock is smoldering hot and burns his hand. He says, "Ah!" And then Tori walks up to him and says, "Oh yeah, you filthy human, you're gonna smash my head in?" And as she lifts her leg up and brings it down on his head and smashes his head, and brains and blood goes everywhere. And she says, What is happening to me?" And the demon appears and starts laughing. And she says, "Stop it." And he keeps on laughing. And she says, "Stop laughing. Stop. It's not funny." She says, "Well, okay, maybe it is a little funny," as she's covered in blood. Now, as the hitchhiker walks into the trailer, she says, "You are freaking kidding me, right?" As she sees the masked man dead on the ground, and she pulls her mask over her head and says, "This is a joke. We all had a deal. You know how hard I worked for this shit. I had to do it. I murdered my whole family. Now this suburban jock bitch is going to ruin everything." She says, "I don't think so. I'll kill her myself. I'll kill them all. I am the demon here. I am the chosen one. You'll see." And now, as Tori is trying to get away, she's hearing voices in her head, and she says, "No, no, there is no bargain. Just stop. Won't you just shut up?" And she looks around. She's like, "No, these people are not dead. I have just been drugged. I'm only hallucinating. This must be a bad trip." As a noose slowly comes down from the darkness, and it wraps around Tori's head and gets pulled up. And then Jimmy jumps down and he pulls his mask off and says, "Finally, you're always such a headache. You know what? I'm glad I was the one who actually got to kill you. I don't know why Copper insists somebody else do it. Maybe she thought I'd chicken out. Nah, I hate you. Always acting like you're so special. Miss Track Scholarship 78. Nice girl, nice. You want to know what I really think of you?" And Tori looks up at him and says, "No." And she has that dagger in her hand and she swipes it up, and it slices Jimmy's hand off with the cigarette that he was burning down. And his hand falls to the ground with the cigarette still in it. Jimmy now looks down at his hand and he's like, "Oh shit, it's not there." And Tori says, "Jimmy, I always liked you, but you are an asshole. You killed my sister, and nobody cares what you think. So here's a lobotomy." And she jams that dagger right through his eye and goes out the back of his head, and he falls down on the ground. And she picks up his missing limb, hand with the cigarette in it, and she's just holding his hand and starts burning that cigarette down and starts smoking as she walks away. And now as Tori walks off smoking that cigarette, she says, "Hey, see any pennies? Pick it up all day long. You'll have good luck. Copper, are you around?" As Tori walks up to the van with the altar in it and burns it down, but Copper appears from behind with the dagger and smashes Tori right in her back and slices her back all the way down to her backbone as she lays on the ground. Copper saying, "Yes, yes, I killed you, you bitch," and yells out, "You're dead, you're dead. I am going to get what is mine." But then Tori slowly starts to stand up with bat wings growing out of her flesh wounds from her back. And Copper says, "No, no, I killed you. I've won." And now Purgatory stands up and says, "That's funny. I don't feel dead, and you do not look like you won." And then Copper says, "No, there's more of us. They're everywhere. Even if you kill me, they'll bring me back from hell. We'll get you." And as Purgatory leans in and uses her fangs and bites the throat of Copper and starts to suck out all of her blood. And now, as Purgatory's licking her lips with all the blood, she says, "Really? There's more of you everywhere? Well, I can't wait because I am hungry as hell." The end of Altered States Purgatory Grindhouse. And now that is definitely how you do a Purgatory book right there, with a one shot that could be leading into an ongoing series. That thing was amazing. Perfect horror elements in it. We kind of get to know how Purgatory comes back to life because, she needs that vessel, and Purgatory is always going to be out there. An amazing horror book. I give this thing a 10 out of a 10. Absolutely, Dynamite killed it with this one. Not only was the story amazing, but every single cover of this book was freaking amazing as hell. And you got to remember, art is not at all. Art is art, and you got to love it, baby. No matter how the covers are drawn. Sex sells, yes it does, but what's inside this book was amazing, dude. I cannot wait to get more Purgatory books, or even if we don't get any, I'll go back to the past and read all those Purgatory books that I do have in my library, because that's how I roll here in the Haunted Basement, dude, for real. And if you like, a dope comic guy that doesn't like, sexy ass covers and just want to rip covers off of books, man, I don't know, dude. That is blasphemy to me, man. But hell yeah, dude. I know you guys love Dynamite. I know you guys love horror. I know you love haunted things. So make sure you stab that subscribe button so you be notified when I drop a new content here in the Haunted Basement Studio. Always keeping it real, baby. Man, you guys keep it haunted. Comics. Later.